Welcome to the 13th session, where again we are using Indian knowledge systems for creating a global well-being curriculum to meet the new goal of education. We are integrating Indian knowledge systems or international knowledge systems ways of knowing of Pratyaksha, Anuman, Upaman and Shabda Praman with the current ideas of the current knowledge system. This session will explore why the different approaches to curriculum development exist in IKS and CKS, even though their original subtle ideas are the same. We will discover that the focus on truth and practices in IKS is the difference with CKS, which is focusing on theory and ignoring its subtle strength hidden in the original ideas it has. To achieve the new global goal of education, OECD's Learning Compass seeks to develop attitudes, values and transformative competencies to create well-being. How can IKS do this, achieve this goal? Well, both IKS and CKS seek the goal of inner happiness and well-being, but their ways of achieving the goal are different. While CKS uses sense perception as its first way of knowing, this has a limitation. It can only explore the outer world, and the nature of the outer world is to keep changing. Therefore, if the way of investigation is exploring a phenomena that keeps changing, the happiness and well-being that it creates also fluctuates with the change in the outer world. IKS believes that developing character and personality awakens the voice of conscience within. And when the voice of conscience is strong and does not change, it does not allow change in behavior, irrespective of change in circumstances, then inner happiness can be found by exploring the inner world, this inner world. In this manner, it is creating well-being both for the individual and society simultaneously. After seeing this video, this set of videos, we will take a 5-minute break for you to answer a question at the end. How often in human history has humankind felt that there was no future? What is the way they searched for, and what is the way that they found? Was the way common for all civilizations that have survived? Can you write down the ideas that make a civilization last? Did religions find the cure, but the ideas got lost or misused? Also, write on what can prevent the poverty of ideas that is caused by the misinterpretation of concepts of wisdom, which make a civilization last. We take a break after this video for you to write down your ideas. For the sake of simplicity, an earlier session depicted the I sitting on a chair as the source of energy in creation. Is this an imagination of this course, or has this depiction been used for millennia? The chair may be new, but the source, the I, has been used by ancient wisdom in many traditions. Let us explore the traditional ideas of the world's oldest and a modern civilization, that is USA and India. What ideals have enabled the innovation and growth of USA? Are they different from the foundational ideas of ancient Indian civilization? In this video, you can see that a USD, a US dollar currency note says, "In God we trust." That is the foundation of Sanatan Dharma too. Only IKS or Bharatiya knowledge system does not use the word God. It investigates the source from whom the energy that powers everything in the universe emerges. It investigates this source. It uses the word Brahman to describe the source. Brahman is described as that which is truth. It is also filled with awareness of everything in the universe and is infinite bliss. Therefore, it is called Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahman. Such investigation gave value to the currency of living life in IKS. The same words and subtle thoughts of IKS create value in the gross world. Both gross and subtle world use the same idea to create value. In India as well as in the United States of America. The I that creates and sees everything is Brahman in IKS and God in Abrahamic religions. Beauty, they say, lies in the eye of the beholder. So who is the beholder? Is it God in all the religions? If so, till now, few may think we explored the basis of only non-Abrahamic belief systems. Can there be two gods or two creators of one universe? Religions just give the source different names, but the source is one. Ancient wisdom does a scientific investigation into the source. It is the right of all, irrespective of their religion, culture, place of birth and residence, to benefit from its findings. Its findings create a feeling of oneness of humankind. Can the growth of technology create this feeling of oneness of humankind? Ancient wisdom had this goal and a way of creating well-being. Technology can connect us to each other. Each individual can be connected to each other. But is that connection heart to heart? Will it create a feeling of oneness? We have clarified those who share the behavior, the feeling in the heart, that is of having universal love for all, share the same nationality in IKS. When everyone in the world shares such a feeling, the dream of the world as one nation gets fulfilled. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Are Abrahamic belief systems using the same idea in a different way? This session will explore this. Ancient wisdom does not classify faith as Abrahamic or otherwise. It is used by all, applicable to all, useful to all. Its values are universal. How? Let us explore. We know that most scientists, skeptics, believers and non-believers agree that creation took place. How do we experience creation? The eye is an important instrument for this. Without it, revelation of creation is difficult to visualize. The Greek word for revelation was apocalypse. Islam too has a concept of a judgment day. Who can give judgment? Only one who can see with an unbiased eye the true intentions with which all actions are done is capable of giving judgment on all beings in creation. Only an all-seeing eye can judge. One eye depicts that duality does not bias the vision of the of this source that is seeing, the witness to everything. Knowledge of the judgment day and thus the I educates us to seek goodness and excellence in all the work we create. Thus the same I used for IKS creates value in Abrahamic traditions too. The I here sits in the middle of a triangle. The I is called Providence in the Great Seal of the United States of America. Many leaders of the American Revolution felt that Providence had often intervened to enable them to achieve independence from Great Britain. Particularly, General George Washington is quoted, and I quote, "The many remarkable interpositions of the divine government in the hours of our deepest distress and darkness have been too luminous to suffer me to doubt the happy issue of the present contest." Unquote. This was on March 26, 1781. The creation of USA is credited to the eye of Providence. This was the experience during the birth of a nation. Is denying it like denying a mother's experience during childbirth? A US dollar note is a piece of paper. Symbols with subtle meanings give value to a gross piece of printed paper. Recollect an incident when you, like George Washington, felt the subtle eye of Providence supporting you. Climbing 13 stairs to reach the eye on the 14th level, the Great Seal declares Providence favors its undertakings. What do the stairs mean to you? In the history of United States of America, they would depict the 13 states. Is this the gross interpretation? Or is there a subtler interpretation that talks of the final, the 14th stage, and not the 14th state? Ancient wisdom is known to use many symbols that are hidden behind what is shown. Gross reality satisfies those who do not wish to investigate deeper. For those open to the subtlety underlying gross creation, a different depth of meaning may be revealed. Not only in the United States of America, but also in Europe, the eye and the triangle are found. A Dutch sign is shown here. It states, "God sees me." The idea of God seeing us is repeated in the Old Testament a couple of times. Genesis 16.13, for example, states, and I quote, "You are the God who sees me," unquote. And another quotation, I quote, "Here I have seen the one who sees me," unquote. Hence, God is the one who sees us and is capable of being seen too, is accepted here. The significance of the eye is thus established. Jesus' teaching of straight gate in the Gospel of Matthew explicitly gives the doctrine of the Judgment Day. Islam too has a concept of the day of resurrection. The Judgment Day idea inherently implies an impartial eye that has seen everything in an unbiased manner and is capable of judging without fear or favor. What does the eye do? It has 14 steps below it. Does it bring the outside universe within the human body, creating a feeling of oneness of creation? Does it add a spirit to the gross? From a far away understanding of consciousness to a nearness to it, is ancient wisdom's journey. In fact, the journey leads to the conclusion that consciousness or God is not just near but within us. This power, that is the source of goodness within us, is called the voice of conscience. It is treated as the voice of Brahman in IKS. It emerges from the subtlest element, ether, which is beyond subtlety also. For those who do not believe in God, no arguments are given. In fact, those who have experienced the power of conscience, consciousness, or God within confidently challenge others for questioning their right to have such an experience. They do not question the non-believer's right to believe in their own experience. Hence, they see no reason why their right to experience consciousness, especially residing within them in their heart, is questioned. Their vision of faith emerges from a journey of self-discovery. When self-confidence emerges from the voice of conscience, not allowing us to do anything but good, what happens? The idea of God can then emerge as the idea of the self for some. The experience of God for them emerged as the conviction to fill one's actions with excellence and goodness. From such a conviction, they argued back to non-believers, which God are you questioning? Your God or my God? They would further state that you are free to deny your God, but how can you deny mine? Of course, by investigating the source as Brahman, a needless debate on the existence or otherwise of God was sidestepped. Thus, scientific exploration through inner investigation continued. What was the nature of scientific investigation in Indian knowledge system? How did it gradually develop? How did science and society grow? The first human need is hunger. Food grains are the first thing needed to satisfy hunger. They can be produced only through the use of water for growing food. As food production goes up, the population also increases. In this process of growth, agriculture develops and villages and cities come into existence. In this way, human life expands. The needs of people increase and humans start inquiring into the problem of how to meet these needs. In the process, humankind discovers some secrets of nature, but also recognizes that there are many things beyond its understanding. The awareness that what is not known is far more than what is known aids progress. Humans cannot create the earth. They recognize this. Nor then can they create water. They recognized it. Fire emerges when two sticks are rubbed against each other. But humans cannot inject the latent heat into the stick. Examining in this manner, humans realized that there is a power at work which cannot be seen by the eye or heard by the ear or even conceived by the mind. That this power transcended the human was dimly inferred. For every kind of power that humans encountered, they wanted proof by pratyaksha, that is direct perception, or by anuman, the process of inference. What direct proof existed to experience this transcendental power? They wondered. They concluded that the proof is in the sun. Without the sun, there will be no light at all, and all activities come to a standstill. Hydrogen is essential for the growth of plants and of living beings. The sun's primary components are hydrogen and helium. Without these, the world cannot survive. Hence, the ancients concluded that the sun was the visible proof of a transcendental power. And the sun's reflection is the moon. Hence, the moon became the symbol of the mind. This is also because the moon waxes and wanes and keeps changing, just like the human mind. Of all phases of the moon, the crescent moon was considered the right discipline if the mind to study the phenomena of nature and apply it to human nature is to be used. The crescent moon was decided as the way, the goal of the human mind. Is it accidental that religions too share many common symbols? Or were they concluded after scientific investigation of oneself as a part of nature? As nature is in balance, was this an attempt to find inner balance? Balance within ourselves? The ways of the wise are the same in all traditions, cultures, and in all nations. They avoid unnecessary debates and concentrate on achieving the goal. Goodness and excellence expresses itself in their words and actions. That was the demonstration of their faith in oneself. It was visible to society. Goodness filled with excellence is their God. It was obvious to all after seeing their actions and the impact it had on all others. Why is the I important? Why is the same gross reality giving a different vision to so many people? IKS says, as paths are many, depending on the uniqueness of each individual, God or the source of creation too took multiple forms to satisfy and reward uniqueness and individuality. This led to a belief, yad bhavam tad bhavati. As you feel, so shall it be fulfilled. This is how the feeling in the heart impacts the idea of reality. The role of feeling, emotion, becomes central here. Now, this comes in the area of the human heart. The same reality seen by the eye has a different impact on the wise and the foolish. The wise use their vision to help all. The foolish, in their myopic short-term self-interest, hurt all, finally hurting themselves too. The goal of such investigation was to transform the heart, filling it with emotions and later with an experience that could lead to well-being of the individual and society simultaneously. The task of IKS and ancient wisdom's education is to transform the character of students, filling their heart with good feelings about themselves and society. Without developing steadfast faith in and a devotion to such feelings, education will not create well-being. This is what IKS found. If education does not impart such feelings, well-being will remain a dream. Of course, IKS admits that temporary happiness is achieved by sense perception, but it finds that it is soon lost. As it happens, all of this happens in cycles. Newton's law of every action having an equal and opposite reaction is the IKS subtle law that applies to our future. that the experience of having bad feelings, that is, of hurting others, will have an equal reaction comes through insight gained by practices and the discipline of education of IKS. The 2008 recession was an example where those who earned millions of dollars of bonuses, caused a lot of social pain and caused the recession, became unemployed, and some of them became unemployable later. Wisdom-based education protects the individual and society. The symbol of one eye has a significance in it. While two eyes see multiplicity, the single eye sees unity behind multiplicity, the one energy that makes multiplicity work. Just like one electric current makes various electric bulbs of different wattages work, so does the prana shakti or the energy principle in creation make everything work. This energy principle is one. Its manifestations are many. Einstein and Newton too realized it. The multiplicity in creation is visualized only by the human mind. The mind is represented by the moon. Its unity be experienced by using the example of the waning moon. Just that little bit of mind is left in the crescent moon to observe the nature of nature and learn the interdependence it teaches. That's the significance of the crescent moon. After learning the IKS way, how to use the mind. Here the full moon or mindfulness is the guide to action. It uses the fullness of the power of the human mind to create fullness of well-being for all. In everybody's well-being, the full moon spreads light that illumines oneself too. This was the inner way of experiencing consciousness within oneself and expressing it through human actions. The experience that divinity is in and outside of everything was sought. It was tested by using the hypothesis that it could be experienced directly and indirectly. God, or Brahman in this tradition, was visualized with attributes and without attributes too, associated with the mind and thoughts, and responding to the joys and sorrows, the pains and sufferings of human beings. Various forms of divinity have been visualized. Is there some similarity of ideas with the Great Seal of the United States of America? The glow behind the one eye in the Great Seal of United States of America is like the glow of the sun. It uses another symbol of steps that is shared in IKS tradition and also, some say, in Islam too. The steps in the ladder of the Seal of the United States of America are 14, twice the number 7. What is their significance in ancient wisdom across faiths? Why would Americans far away from Eastern traditions give importance to number 7? Could it be just a coincidence, or is there any logic, either gross or subtle? The Reader's Digest once investigated it and gave many reasons why 7 is considered a lucky number. It says, and I quote, "There are the 7 wonders of the world, the 7 dwarfs, the 7 days in the week, 7 colors in the rainbow. There are 7 swans swimming, 7 notes on a musical scale, 7 deadly sins. The list goes on," unquote. This is a gross view. A subtler view also exists. Alex Belos, a mathematician and a writer for The Guardian, found in his research that the number 7 fascinates humankind. In fact, ancient Babylonian tablets are riddled with the number 7. 7 is the only number among those we can count on our hands, that is 1 to 10, that cannot be divided or multiplied within the group, unquote. Bellows explains 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 can each be doubled to reach 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 9 is divisible by 3. 7 then is the only number between 2 and 10 that is neither a multiple nor a factor of the others. In this way, he says, lucky number 7 stands alone, and we grasp this implicitly, that is subtly, unquote. In IKS, the number 7 represents the subtle things too that are visible and invisible. The 7 sages who constitute the constellation of Ursa Major, the Great Bear, the 7 oceans, the 7 musical notes, the 7 colors. These 7 colors come from the sun's rays, which can signify eternity for our limited lifespan. So, compared to our lifespan, the sun's lifespan can be thought of as infinite. In fact, IKS states that all its music that gives subtle feelings of sublimity is based on 7 notes. It then takes twice the number 7 shown in the providence eye within the individual to reveal our inner world. This is thus not one world but 14 worlds. The one eye depicted for easy understanding in IKS as Lord Shiva's eye destroys the illusion of the gross world and reveals the realm of the truth behind quantum reality within us, our 14 worlds. There are 7 upper and 7 lower worlds within us. The 7 lokas in the body are the earth in the feet, the atmosphere in the genitals, heaven in the navel, the great world in the heart, the world of good people in the throat, the world of virtue in the brow center, and the realm of truth on the crest of the head. These worlds, called the upper lokas, are all situated in the body of people. They are called Bhulok, Bhuvarlok, Swarlok, Maharlok, Janalok, Tapolok and Satyalok respectively. There are also lower worlds, the bottomless region in the soles of the feet, the depth of hell on the nails, the great depth in the heels, the bottomless pit in the hip, the infernal region in the knees, the great pit in the thighs, and deepest hell in the anus. These lower worlds are called Athala, Vithala, Suthala, Talathala, Rasathal, Mahatal and Patal. The 5 elements in creation are thus the source of the 14 worlds within us. Hence, IKS visualizes the body as the residence of all the worlds. Hence, its 7 seas are also in the body. The seas of salt are in urine, the cane juice is in perspiration, the wine is in senses, the sea of ghee is in semen, the sea of buttermilk is in the mucus, the sea of milk in saliva, and pure water is the tears of devotion that we have for the Lord or for the source of creation to merge in it. The 5 fires are called the 5 fires because they are 5 in all. The fire of time, the fire of hunger, the cold fire, the fire of anger, and the fire of knowledge. They reside in the feet, in the navel, in the stomach, in the eye and heart respectively. The 10 varieties of sound are also in the gross body itself. They are the sounds of clapping, kettle drum, insect, drum, bell, cuckoo, small bell, flute, bee, and finally Om, Pranava. These are the varieties of sounds. These may be heard during meditation. Along with this upper 7 worlds are 7 energy centers within us. These are subtle, not gross. Our life force too exists in our subtle, not our gross heart. The same energy that pervades the universe is present within us also. It operates through 7 energy centers that are discovered through Ashtanga Yoga practice. But is not prana the locus of life, the energy provider in humans? Yes, it resides within too. The Veda says it shines like lightning in the heart of a dark blue cloud. Where does it reside? In the back of individuals, the spinal column has 33 vertebrae. Between the 9th and the 12th vertebrae, there is a Sushumna Nadi, which shines like a lightning. We imagine that life resides in the heart. The heart in IKS is like a main switch. Life does not reside there. What happens to life when heart surgery is performed? When the heart is transplanted, it is like changing the main switch. IKS says that the vital force in the middle of the spinal column is where life exists. There is the source, activated through the word, the voice of conscience, and there are its 7 energy centers all within us. This is the significance of 7 in not only current knowledge system, but also IKS, Indian knowledge system, or Bharatiya knowledge system. In Islam too, 7 rows of angels, paradise and hell are shown by the Sufi mystic Ibn Arabi. The 14 steps below the eye of providence may not then just be a random phenomena, because the diagram shows the plane of assembly on the day of judgment, and it shows the throne of God, the pulpits for the righteous, the 7 rows of angels, the barrier, the pond of abundance, the praiseworthy station where the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, will stand to intercede for the faithful, the scale and the bridge, hell, and the meadow of paradise. This is from a source which can be verified independently. It needs to be verified by a scholar, but we are just sharing what is available in the public domain. The 14 steps in the seal of providence in the United States of America are in a triangle, and the triangle has 3 sides. Does the number 3 also have a significance in ancient wisdom? There can be many interpretations. To put it simply, the 3 sides of the triangle in the IKS or Bharatiya knowledge system are body, mind, and soul. The triangle is used in yantras also. So what is the yantra? The body is the yantra that contains the soul and the mind in it. We have seen the importance of number 7. The eye of providence is placed above a triangle. Ancient wisdom is presented as a triangle of search into the truth of the individual, search into the truth of nature, and search into the truth of the source, the 3 sides. Now, IKS studied these 3 things in a space-time continuum. Space in which gross, subtle, and causal bodies exist was studied, and findings were compared across 3 time frames: past, present, and future. The validity of its findings were tested by students for thousands of years. After IKS investigated these 3, its wisdom reached conclusions. Its Tat Tvam Asi mantra declares that the source which you consider to be out there is right here within you. So, climbing up the chair on which the I, the source, sits to experience the power of the source or the I required the use of 4 purusharthas, or the 4 goals of life, the 4 legs of the chair. They are the guide to daily life while living in and experiencing duality. Not just the Providence Seal of the United States of America or the IKS tradition, the Bharatiya knowledge system tradition, the Egyptian civilization too used the triangle in architecture. Its sacred shape was reserved for pharaohs, who were considered as gods in their culture. The triangle represents a purity of method of search. Its use in the Providence Seal is therefore unlikely to be accidental. It shows that a common global spiritual heritage is shared by all traditions. A triangle contains within itself the human heart. Education transforms it to build character. If you remove the curves of sense perception from the heart, its love becomes a triangle, a shape used in the worship of energy principle. This is not a theory about ancient wisdom, but a result of constant practice. This course lays a deep emphasis on practice. Every attempt is made to make all the lectures very short. A 5-minute slot at the end of this lecture is being given for silent sitting. This is to enable the participant to mull over what is said. Whatever has been heard should be repeated in the mind so that it gets absorbed. Just as sugar is stirred in a cup of tea or coffee with a spoon, use the spoon of silence to stir the sugar of Indian knowledge systems in your mind. It takes some time for the tea or coffee to become sweet. Patience is very important. The perspectives shared in the course will seem meaningful only if such silent sitting is done to mull over what has been said. Else, the half an hour spent in delivering the lectures will be a waste of time. We welcome you to undertake an inner journey during these 5 minutes. Only then will knowledge that is outside you will become wisdom inside you. The time allocated for this is actually 20 minutes, not 5 minutes. The time should be increased gradually. This is also a time for the mind to take rest. In case it cannot do that, mull over whether the voice of the conscience has guided you at any time in life till now. We accept challenges for the physical body in games. In a gym, we can have a 20 minutes plank challenge. We may exchange challenges on the quantity of food we can eat. Can we go beyond such challenges to the second step of the Indian knowledge systems? Can we see if the mind itself can take rest and maybe stop working? Can we explore what will happen if it becomes zero? Remember, it is not good to challenge the mind. It rebels and makes you do the opposite of what you want it to do. It is far simpler to observe the mind. For doing this, first the physical body should move as little as possible. Observe the mind as it tells the body to move. You are not telling the body to move, the mind is telling the body to move. Observe the mind. Move away from the mind and see what it is forcing the body to do. Watch the mind as if you are sitting on a fan at a distance. When you are at home, Shavasana in yoga is a good posture for this practice. Try to first silence the body, then the mind. For those who have mastered this, they can try the next method. When you think of nothing, can you experience love without giving it a shape of a thing like your favorite food, or a thing that you want to own, or the physical form of a person? Can it just be love without an emotion to a person or a thing? Can it be love for the sake of love? How do you experience loving yourself? The purpose of this course is to help you discover yourself, that loving being beyond the body and the mind.